Well, Uriah, we asked you all week long, how this week felt and how the moment felt, and you said, "Hey guys, I'm preparing for a fight right now. I can't really focus on it." Now that it's in the books, has it soaked in yet? And what does it feel like?
It feels good. They started doing that. I wasn't expecting that whole build up in the back. They're doing like sharing special moments from my career and everything. And so I had to turn my back on that because I was like, I'm getting ready to go fight this dude who's gonna take my head off, and I'm like getting choked up and everything. I'm like, that was a little much for me. So I'll probably go back and watch it on my own, but I had to stay focused tonight. I want to be able to speak afterwards without bawling. I've had a tradition of doing that in the past. Get a little emotional, so I kept it together, and I'm proud of that.
Walk us through that first round because it looked like you might have the fight finished. What were you thinking at that time, and did you think maybe the fight should have been stopped?
Well, I thought. I mean, obviously, it shouldn't have been stopped because he kept fighting, but I thought he was out of it, and so I caught him with the left hook, and I waited for just a second. I like Brad a lot, and I mean he's been in a lot of wars himself, and so if I could get it stopped right there, I would have. But uh, he showed enough to stick it out, and I don't remember exactly the details of the whole fight, but I know I was very close to finishing him there, and could have maybe been stopped, but I would have been pissed if I was Brad Pickett and they stopped it there and I was on the other side. I'd be pissed. So I'm glad to let him fight, and I'm glad that it went 3 rounds.
And last one for me, what do you do next? I mean, it sounds like you're still comfortable with your decision, despite a great performance tonight. You've said you're going to stay involved with, of course, Team Alpha Male and B. But what do you do next? Do you take some time off and get away from the sport for a little bit? I mean, what's the next step for Uriah Faber?
No, I mean, I mean, part of the reason why I'm doing this is because I am able-bodied and able-minded. I'm not. I don't want to be a guy that they're like, oh, he's falling apart and he's a little punchy and maybe it's time to stop. I've had a great run. I've been a world champion. I've been a top contender. I've been a poster boy for an organization for sponsorships. I've been able to do a lot, and I do have a lot on my plate, and it's also a tough way to make a living. I'm getting in there every day and grinding. And this is my fourth fight this year, and no matter how you skin it, if you're in a camp, you have to make that your main focus. And I have a lot of things that I want to focus on. So if I don't draw a line and say I'm going to stop here, I'll keep going, and I'll keep going, and I'll keep going because it's a great mate. There's great margins in the fight game. It's a great experience. It's fun, even though it's difficult. But I just feel like it's time.
You said that you were trying to handle the emotions before the fight, but what about afterwards? When you made it through, you didn't cry in the octagon. You get back there in like the privacy of the back. What were the emotions like? Once it was all said and done.
Well, unfortunately, I didn't have a chance to really enjoy that either because for the first time in my life, after a workout, I've thrown up. So I threw up like 5 times, and I mean, that was a first. That was also the first time that Big John McCarthy was a referee for me, and I've been a fan of his since high school, which is kind of weird. So a couple of firsts tonight. First retirement fight, first John McCarthy fight, first time throwing up a bunch.
And we know that you got you've said that you're going to move on to big things, and you've got options out in front of you. Like throughout your career and during your time in the UFC, did you ever think because they had those like ambassador roles? Did you ever think that maybe you were going to get one of those, and that maybe that's what your future would be as far as this sport was concerned, is working with the UFC, getting a paycheck that way, and being one of their guys, so to speak?
No, I didn't really. I know that they had those roles for Matt Hughes and Chuck Liddell and Forrest Griffin. I think they're probably some of the only guys that have those. I'd love to stay involved in some level, but I also have a lot of things that I want to focus on. It's not like I have everything set up, but it's also not like I'm starting new and going to figure out what I'm going to be doing. I have a ton of projects that I've been working on. I've learned a lot about people, about business, about just life in general through this process, and it's not like I'm set for life. I mean, I'm hopefully going to be growing to be an old dude, and I'm going to have to figure out the next phase of things, and I'm looking forward to that. And I have, like I said, a lot of things that I've been working on and things that I'm passionate about. So that's the next step. And part of that is growing our team into one of the top teams in the world from head to toe. I mean, I've done it kind of grassroots, but I haven't been real mindful of, getting a budget together, recruiting, scouting. There's a lot of things that I can do to grow this team. And I mean, the coaching staff that we have is unbelievable right now. We've got, such a great staff. I feel like, we have 5 black belts in the room on a daily basis, each working with individual fighters. And we've got Justin Buckles at the, running amazing pro practices and kind of coordinating people's schedules. And we've got Coach Joey, and we've got, Chris Holdsworth and Danny Castillo and Lance Palmer. I mean, we've got such a rich group of guys that are homegrown and love the program and are doing it for the right reasons. And so I'm excited for the next phase of things. And that's just a small part of what I'm doing, but I'm excited for the MMA side as well.
Urijah, how involved are you with getting Cody prepared for less than 2 weeks now for Cruz?
Well, we've been sparring partners a bunch, and that's a tough guy to be a sparring partner with. It gets heated in the room on occasion. Cody's a very skilled guy. We've had guys in the room who come with bad intentions, but he's just got a skill set that's dangerous. So I've been a main training partner for him. I've also been somebody that's helped to work on his mindset and the kind of the mental game for him, on top of giving some of my input and just a cheerleader. He's got an incredible story. I mean, his story is really a motivating story, and he's a very gifted athlete. He's a very special individual in a bunch of different ways, and so I'm there. I'm a part of it, but we've got a coaching staff that's been on him, just focused on just him.
With your experience against Cruz, are you going to be in the corner at all? How really involved in detail are you going to be with this?
I'll be there with him the week of the fight. I won't be in the corner. Obviously, I was preparing for myself, in this fight, and he's had all hands on deck, and he's got a great group of guys that are going to be cornering him. But I'll be there with him for whatever he needs. But the hay's in the barn for that guy.
Do you have a reaction when Dominic talks about Cody in a disparaging way?
I don't ever listen to Dominic, so I don't know. People ask me about that kind of stuff, and Dom's fine. We've got a nice working relationship. I mean, a working relationship in our profession is beating the crap out of each other and talking crap. But it doesn't matter. He's just fueling the fire for Cody, and trust me, Cody, he, as much as he doesn't like whatever he's saying, it's just motivating him, and it's going to be an amazing fight. So I haven't heard what he said.
Another question I had was whether or not the drama that was surrounding your team not too long ago with the head coaches and stuff like that, did that influence your timeline at all? Did that make you think I need to be more of kind of a management presence with the team and less of a fighter, less about myself and more about the team?
No, it did make me be a little bit, look from the outside and be like, okay, what's going on? I mean, what happened there is I gave somebody a great opportunity that was in a hard spot, and he made it about himself. And I mean, I'm not going to mention the guy's name, but it was a hard time. It was like we went through a divorce of our team, and our team's always been so close knit, and picked off a couple of our guys, and we just came back stronger and gathered together. I think the guys understood how important the team is to everybody's lives, because it's more than just a profession. Part of the reason why we've got such an amazing team is because of the energy and the camaraderie, and not everybody's best friends, but we're all there to support. It's a big dysfunctional family, so there was some times when I definitely didn't take vacations because I had to be there and make sure the glue was there. But at the end of the day, the smartest decision anybody on our team did was just to stick around and know how special it is.
And so what does this look like for you now? Are you going to be that guy who's the head coach? I mean, you say you have these other interests, and I know I saw a special. You're fixing up a house. I mean, does this mean like you're going to be the manager and you're going to do real estate? I mean, you don't sound so hot on working for the UFC. What does it look like?
Well, I'm all about making some cash, so I mean, we'll see if the UFC has some cash opportunity. I don't, not that I've heard of, but I would say, for me, I'm an entrepreneur. I really am, to the through and through. And I've got a lot of different projects. I've got a Vibe Health Bar, which we're working on our third location here locally in Sacramento. We just started shipping juice nationally. I've got a clothing line. I'm part of Purist Labs, a supplement company. I've got a construction company. We're building our new gym, which is a 20,000 square foot facility, and our team lives out of there. It's also a real estate play. We've got some, I've got a bunch of cool stuff that I'm doing. I've got a show that I'm pitching with Always Sunny in Philadelphia guys, and we're working with FX to develop that. It's a great concept, and hopefully it comes through. And I've got a lot of things that I'll be doing, and I'll be in the gym every day. That's what I do. I'll be here to mentor the group, but we have an amazing staff right now. Like, the way our program is being run is awesome, with all the guys in place, from the folks that have been there. Like Fabio Prado's been with me the last 9 years. Every single fight, he's been in my corner. And Justin Buckles has been a product of our team. He's somebody that was one of the first guys from our team to be in the UFC and has grown up in our program. And Danny Castillo and Lance Palmer and all these guys. We've got all these contributing factors. So I don't necessarily see myself coming in and running everything, but we have all these moving pieces that are helping with different fighters. Like tonight, we had 4 guys fight. We had a different coaching crew with each group, and we're lucky to like leave the ego at the door and let everyone help out. So I'm going to be doing a lot of stuff. I see myself more as over the course of time, not being a head coach necessarily, but just growing the team on a bunch of different levels.
A lot of tributes are coming in for you today. How you very much elevated the sport, how you really made Sacramento a spotlight as part of the sport, and even one of your teammates said, you made short guys cool again. How would you look back on how...
I'm not short, first off.
How
Just
would you
joking.
look back on how the UFC has evolved since you started? And grown?
It's been really cool. I think the coolest thing about this experience is how it started for me, which was I was fighting on an Indian casino in tennis shoes, when it was illegal in California, and I got paid $200 to show up and $200 to win. I didn't tell my mom because I knew she'd be pissed, and that's the start of my career, and it's grown to this. So to be somebody that, and one of the things that was unique about me was I didn't care about money or anything else. I was just going to do what I wanted to do and focus all my time and energy into that. So being one of the guys with little to gain, but following his passion, who's intelligent and hardworking, I was devoting my life to a sport when it wasn't really a great career path. So that's kind of my contribution is, I can't take credit for people thinking I'm cool or whatever. Thank you for that. I didn't plan that out. I was just, being myself, and then had a great team that was kind of hold me on a pedestal from there. The UFC, that was the WC and the UFC. They were together at the time, and I've just been lucky and been mindful and enjoyed taking people along the ride with me. So, I'm appreciative for any credit that I get, but it was a lot of people.
Hey, right. You mentioned, back when you first started, you were fighting at Indian casinos, and you talked with us in October when you were announced to be on this card, and you were talking about how back then you didn't, not only didn't tell your mom, but didn't really tell anyone that you were fighting at all. And then you have this great long career, the California kid. Here you are in the brand new Golden One Center for your last fight, and now everyone knows who you are, and the whole place is yelling your name. What does that feel like to have that be your last fight?
It's perfect. It really is. And I've been fortunate in a lot of different ways. I mean, a lot of it's been through, tenacity and pushing through adversity, but it's also been a lot of good luck and having a great attitude and attracting good energy from putting it out and stuff like that. And I feel like this is kind of a culmination of that. and it's a great way to go out. It's a way for me to kind of showcase that I'm going out on my terms. I could very well compete for another 10 years. I'm a healthy guy. I've always been a healthy guy. My mind and my body are there, but I'm choosing to wrap it up and head into whatever's next. So it's exciting though. It is cool, and I feel very fortunate.
And then also the last time we talked, you were talking about how Kevin Johnson has a strong right hook. I hear he's looking for a job now. Any recruiting there for Team Alpha Male?
I put KJ on the recruiting team to help me recruit, but yeah, we got one of the former mayor as of a couple days ago. He he has a heavy hand and doesn't take crap. Proud of him.
Urijah, looking back on your career, I mean, what would you say would be like your, now that looks like it's over, what would you say would be your biggest thrills? And do you have any regrets or any disappointments?
No, I don't think. I'm not really a type of person to have regrets. I would say some of the biggest thrills have been the fights here in Sacramento. The Jens Pulver fight was the first big fight that was on a massive level against a world champion, former world champion, a guy that I had looked up to, and we had a great fight. Fighting Michael McDonald was awesome. Breaking my hands against Brown, that was tough at the moment, but afterwards it was something that I can cherish and I learned a lot from. As far as regrets go, I wish the UFC would have never really separated the WC and the UFC. I mean, it made sense at the time from a business standpoint. They were employing more fighters, and they were, having 2 TV networks, and they were having 2 sets of sponsors, etc. But people kind of overlooked that and be like, oh, it was just the WC. But at the time, that was the cream of the crop for our weight class, and it was the same owners and everything else, just a different name. So I was 32 years old when I got a chance to fight for the UFC title, and was just a smidgen off against Cruz. Would have liked to got that, but I left it all in the cage, and so I've got no regrets. No regrets.
Do you have
not even one letter.
Is there anyone, like, when you look back that somehow, whether it's a Kid Yamamoto or somebody like that you would have liked to have fought, that your paths just didn't cross, the right time was never there?
Yeah, I've talked about that. Kid Yamamoto. A lot of people who are new to the sport don't know. Kid Yamamoto was a superstar, for the lighter weights before I was. Around the same time, but, I remember trying to gauge popularity, and I'm a realistic guy. I'm looking, and I had, 4,000 hits on my YouTube, highlight, and he had, 250,000, and I was, very aware, this guy's the man, and that was the fight. Every time I'd win, whoever was ranked number 1, whoever the main guy was, it was Norifumi Kid. There's Pequeño Nogueira was one. There's Kid Yamamoto. There's the time Gilbert Melendez. These guys were all ranked. So these are the guys I was calling out from the get-go because I had limited internet knowledge, and I had found a ranking system, and they had kept having guys ranked above me, so I just was calling them out. But Kid would have been a good one, and I would have liked to redo those fights with Brown. One, I did a jumping back elbow and got clotheslined by a heavy right hand, and the other one I broke my hand in the first and dislocated my thumb in the third. And not to take away from him, he's an amazing fighter, but that would have been nice to get a good day on him.
Now, also in your career, I mean, from essentially the starting point to now, what have you noticed as far as the change in the fighters? As far as obviously in your weight class, there's more depth. The fighters are better. They started younger. But I mean, when you fight and when you kind of gauge the growth in the sport, how do you kind of look back at, the evolution of the sport in your weight division for the last 10, 15 years?
From when I first started in the sport, I would say, and this goes for wrestling, it goes for boxing, it goes for anything else. The one thing that has not changed is the toughest guy who works the hardest is most likely going to win, and as long as they're training intelligently. So, you look back at guys and be like, oh, well, now there's, Sage Northcutt, he can do a spinning karate kick or whatever the deal is. The guys that have the grit, the tenacity, that doesn't change at all. Those are the fighters that are going to make the impact. But the sport is changing in that folks are getting more well-rounded. You're getting to see guys like Pettis who have been able to incorporate a strong, jiu-jitsu game with a wrestling game with these crazy kicks and acrobatic style things that are happening. But it all comes back down to heart, will, and tenacity, and that will never change.